It's time for the big three. We've got 3 stocks, 3 charts, and 3 trades. Rick Ducat joining us in studio here to take us through the charts. And here to take us through the trades is Tim Bohen, the Chief Technical Trainer at StocksToTrade.com. Thank you both for being with us today. Great to see you and have you. Now, Tim, let's dive right into your first trade. Rigetti Computing, they got a big boost off of this Air Force Research Laboratory deal, but walk us through this pick.
Yeah, so this has been one of those stocks that, you go back to the first big quantum computing run we had right about this time last year. Well, it was October, November. Had a huge run back then. Then the quantums kind of quieted down for a while. Now they're all coming back. And on Friday, this one kind of hit a bunch of our stocks to trade scans as a very bullish technical breakout. Then Sunday night, I followed up. I'm like, hey, a lot of the times, this was on a YouTube live I do. But anyway, I was talking about, hey, a lot of the times these types of patterns kind of summon that the news is coming. So that was Sunday night. News hit this week that you mentioned, and this stock just breaking out basically green every day. So just really like it, especially, that chart right there broke out from that resistance back from last year, and just think there's really blue sky considering the quantum computing plays are back, the technicals, it's got the news, it's got the volume, it's kind of got everything for a continuation play.
All right, and still continuing, I'm looking at their chart too right now, up almost 10%. So, Rick, walk us through the technicals on this really impressive move to the upside for Rigetti.
Yes, up, 3,200% during the past year. That's a pretty big number here. So if we were to look back, though, at more specific price levels here, this can be a tricky type of chart because the move is so explosive here. So $20, that was around where we had our best close from back here. From there, we bottomed out around the time that we had earnings back here in March. From there, a upward sloping trend line connecting these lows. If you were to put it across the highs, you would get kind of this channel type shape here. But really, once we started to break above 18, that was a high point from back here. That was where the move up took some big pushes to the upside to break beyond that boundary of our channel type shape here. Now it's been how many days in a row has it been green? 8, I think. So really a strong move to the upside here. If we were to consider some of our other studies here, our moving averages, we can see not too much help at this point here. They're lagging indicators. Perhaps a 9-day EMA might be something to watch out for. That's our lavender colored one there. But RSI showing no signs of slowing down yet either. Firmly in the overbought area. 85, quite a high reading. RSI only goes up to 100. So, this is really quite a strong push. So now, if we do look at our standard deviation channels to try to assess where we might find potential resistance, our +2 channel comes in here near 28.50. Our +1 channel comes in here near 23. Beyond that, $20, like I said, that old high point there, that's where the volume starts to pick up. That's where you start seeing some activity start to build up once again here. So some interesting moves, to say the least, in this name.
Yeah, some big moves to the upside for Rigetti. I think on the initial news, it saw their market cap swell by about $250 million, so a huge jump for a smaller company. Our next one here I want to talk about is Oklo. This is our next pick today. In this boon of nuclear energy, all these new executive orders, the news out of the UK, and of course some of this uranium push. Is that the driver behind this?
Yeah, again, it's kind of funny going back to your previous guest. Really enjoyed his segment. Talking about the natural gas case. I'm very bullish nat gas as well, but more bullish nuclear. I think that we realize that green energy is never going to get us to the supply that we need. With a baseline, much less with all this AI out there. So I just Oklo. This is a stock I've been very bullish. Remember back when it was SPAC. I was waiting every day for that thing to de-SPAC. Came out, and has basically been on an amazing tear, above 100 now. But what I like to see with these century plays, as we call them, is kind of some consolidation to slow down at the hundreds. That may take a few weeks, maybe take a few months, but that's the idea, to keep this on your radar, because if it can slow down, I didn't realize it was going to be up 20% when I sent it over to you guys this morning, but better to be lucky than good sometimes. But looking for that to kind of consolidate, much like it did over the past few months, for that next leg higher.
Let's assume lucky and good. That's what we'll assume. But like you said, shares right now up 16.5% on this one. Lucky and good. Now, Rick, what's it indicating to you? Do we have a technical showing potential move to the upside here, or are we about to hit a point of resistance?
Just because something is high doesn't mean it can't go higher. That's kind of what makes this so tricky here. But for now, we can see if we were to assess our recent price action, we had a similar type of shape here. We had this upward sloping channel type shape here. Once again, if you were to put it across the highs, matches up pretty decently. That's about where we had our stopping point as well, near 96, our green line there. From there, though, another really strong push to the upside. In this case, though, the chart's pretty different because our last chart, we were cracking above a previously established boundary. In this case, it's just kind of up and away here. So when we do look at our other studies, once again, moving averages, not terribly too much help here, but you can see our 9-period short EMA near 96 there lines up with that old level of resistance. So that could be one place to watch. Same story, though. RSI, very strong, actually almost coincidentally the same number, almost 85 here. So still in that overbought area. So now, if we were to try to take a stab at projecting some potential resistance once more, in this case, our moving averages, our standard deviation channels here, +2 and +3 are the more relevant ones, our orange and red lines here. Those come in at 118 and 141 or so, around those levels here. And remember, these are moving targets. This is a snapshot of this point in time. It's showing the variance of the data. Basically, what that means is we're showing how extreme the recent price move has been relative to its own history. So the more standard deviations up, the less kind of sustainable it might be. But for now, I mean, thinking that way can really get you in trouble if you're not careful. So be careful.
Be careful, because it's almost vertical at this point. All right, our last one, Palantir, not as huge a move as these other twos we've looked at, but a very steady move to the upside over the last month. Tim, walk us through this pick.
First off, want to compliment Rick again. Love those breakdowns. I mean, those two charts, very, very similar. Like I said, I didn't expect to come on and have, Oklo up 20% when I sent it over to you guys. But yeah, very similar charts there, almost identical, especially once he broke them down. But back to Palantir, yet another stock I've absolutely loved for 2 years. This kind of first hit my radar in the mid-20s. Big fan of Peter Thiel, big fan of the CEO. Huge mover in AI. And what changed was, funny enough, I was actually live with Nicole. I think it was August 20th or 21st. And Citron had come out short this play. And when I was live with her, I'm like, man, when these short sellers try and guess the top, it just creates beautiful dip buy opportunities. And if you look back to August 2021, it was the absolute bottom on Palantir. I said buy the dip there. It's at 180 today. And I think that if this can kind of butt up against that resistance you've got right there, as soon as it breaks, I think 200 plus, very real possibility. And I was saying 100 was a possibility back when it was in the 40s and 50s. So the chart is just continuing. And I just don't see, barring some sort of regulation or like bad news, this thing stopping anytime soon.
All right, Rick. Do the charts agree with this thing stopping anytime soon, or can we, as you've said, it can always go higher?
Well, it's all about your time frame and your timing. And maybe if your target is a small move to the downside, who knows? Like if you're planning some big collapse, that might be a little more tricky here because, there's so many factors toward the upside right now. Namely, we can see, first of all, high point here, low point here that we held on to. Then I believe this was the point Tim was talking about here, this spike to the downside in August here. But for the most part, 148, 150, if you want to just use an even number, that's around where the price managed to hold on and not make any significant new low closes. I mean, indeed, we didn't even really make a close anywhere near that level. It was more like around 153, I believe, that we had the actual low close from that point. So some big swings to the downside that kind of highlight the volatility that can be found in this name. We could have drawn our white trend line here as well. That's been kind of moved away from at this point. Our older blue trend line sort of coming back into focus. This is kind of a messy situation, but these trend lines, they can come back into play. You might just want to leave it on just for thought going forward here. But 170, a low point after we had our gap up. It was also the breakdown point when price collapsed. We also have 161 was our ceiling here. So So 161 and 170 seem like some interesting boundaries to the downside. And then, of course, 187 to the upside. That's roughly where we had our best close. So now if we were to look at some other ideas here, 21-day EMA is the closer one in this case, coming in between that area that I highlighted, that it's around 166.50, so kind of between that supportive zone we mentioned here. Momentum also improving, new relative highs still trending upward. Look for a cross into that overbought area. If price were to break above those old highs for signs of further confirmation. Now, finally, standard deviation channels once again. The +1 channel in this case would be around 213, pretty far away at this point here. But remember, as we move forward in time, it would be a moving target here that might be something that you could look at more closely down the road if we do get that breakout.
Yeah, a little far away right now, trading at 181.16. But Rick, we appreciate you breaking down those charts for us today. And Tim, we appreciate you being with us with your picks. That's Tim Bohen, the Chief Technical Trainer at StockToTrade.com. And Rick, of course, thank you always.